Hello guys, welcome. So in this video, I just decided to make a quick YouTube video about this topic because I've been thinking about this lately, and yeah, also I had some conversations, discussions on regarding this with my some of my friends, and yeah, I'm not really feeling very well at the moment. Like I slight fever and cold and stuff, and I have an exam. I'll try to keep the video as short as possible. But this is very important and I think very relevant as well in today's situation, which is that artificial intelligence. Well, it's the big thing right now. Everyone is talking about AI. Even I have made videos about AI, but now, I would like to focus on an interesting question, which is definitely much discussed about, but still, I would try to give my own, let's say, perspective on this. So, writing. Well, the topic of this video is not just about how AI is reshaping the value of writing, let's say. I'll be using that as a test case, but using that as a test case, I will make a much more general, let's say, claim, which is, let me say it right now, right away, which is that, well, I have talked a lot about nihilism and that life is meaningless and that sort of thing. So I believe that art, even science, and all of human creation, all of human quests are nothing but an attempt on our part to make life appear meaningful, even though life is actually meaningless. Now, what I mean by that is, so why did people start writing or start drawing in the caves? I'm talking about the early humans, very early humans. Drew pictures with stones on the cave walls, right? Then we started writing stories, writing poems, writing songs, creating music, producing music. I mean, this started very early. I'm not talking about professional music production. Even the early people who lived in, let's say, forests and all, they had some form of music. Like it need not necessarily be sophisticated like modern music, but so these instincts, I think, was an attempt, are attempts on our part to make life appear meaningful. So we know that life has no meaning, but we have to find some meaning to live, because evolution has wired us in a way that we instinctively want to live. We don't want to die. So instead of saying, hey, life is meaningless, there is no point in living and struggling and doing all that, so let's just kill ourselves because we're anyway gonna die in a few years. Instead of saying that, we tell ourselves, we condition our mind so that we form the belief, or let's say this illusion, that life is meaningful. Well, this is meaningful because, see, my life is meaningful because I can write, and this writing, millions of people are reading this. This is having an impact on their thinking, on their mind, and I can make music, I can sing, even science. Well, science is distinct from arts, because science is not usually seen as an expression of our thoughts. It's more real, let's say, more rigorous and more objective. Art is subjective. I can write a song the way I like. There is no hard and fast rule. I mean, it's not necessary that I have to follow any particular rule while I'm writing a song. Even if I write something which does not rhyme, like a poem, the last words of of a line, they do not rhyme, even that can be a song. Like, there are many different forms of expressing oneself. It could be a rap song, for instance. I'm just giving an example. But in case of science, you cannot do whatever you want. You have to follow some strict. That's true, but at the same time, I think there is some personal touch, something human behind every scientist's story. I mean, people don't just do science just for the sake of doing science. I mean, initially, at the initial stage, the inspiration that, no, I want to do science, I want to become a scientist. I think this starts due to something very personal, because I want to find some meaning. I want to know the secrets of the universe. I want to know how this thing works. I want to know how the universe works, or I want to know how this or works, or how that works. So even if science is not subjective in the way art is, but even then, the origin of science is in a way personal or subjective, the way I see it, the way I understand it. So in that sense, all of human creations, human quests, human activities rather, was just an attempt on our part to make life look meaningful. I mean, if we didn't want to live, we would have finished ourselves off ages ago. There would be no science, no technology, no civilization, and all. And today we have all this. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that our life has become inherently meaningful. No, life is still inherently meaningless. We have created problems so that we can pretend to be working hard on creating solutions of our problems, and that will give meaning to our life. Yeah, I mean, if we didn't feel the need to live, there would be no requirement for, there would be no, let's say, no trade, no agriculture, no businesses, no requirement for technology or transportation, nothing. There would be nothing. So these are not really solutions to real problems. These are solutions to problems we have created in a way. I'm talking from a very detached, let's say, philosophical perspective. I'm not saying that everything is me. In a way, it is, but I'm not saying to abandon all efforts and kill ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I personally believe. Just to be clear. But if you think about it, so what artificial intelligence is doing, or at least I'm not an expert, but what AI seems to be doing, it seems that AI is kind of taking us back to the beginning, in the sense that AI is proving to us that, hey, humans, dear humans, what you said, everything you created to make your lives look meaningful are not actually meaningful, because here I am, just a tool which is weighing different statistical weights and just randomly matching patterns and giving you answers without understanding any of it. Yet, I am able to match you on many counts. I mean, if you ask me a personal question, I published a popular science book on physics, our physics so far, back in 2022, and I thank God that there was no ChatGPT back then, because if there was, I mean, I use ChatGPT a lot, test with ChatGPT also. So, I mean, it seems to me that we are reaching that level soon enough. I mean, even today, maybe it's possible, I don't know, with some advanced models. The entire book, 390 pages, which I wrote for, that was the result of all-nighters for almost 1.5 or 2 years. If you give ChatGPT clear prompts that I want a book, just write a book. If you just give ChatGPT the structure of the chapters and all, and what you want to cover, the narrative of physics from Newtonian physics to classical, I mean, from classical physics to quantum physics, relativity, and then to the recent like particle physics and the theoretical physics lane, the quantum gravity, and also some part on chaos theory, nonlinear dynamics, the physics of complexity, and then a chapter on metaphysics. If you feed this to a very advanced AI model, I'm pretty sure AI could just come up with a book. This book which I this book. See, our physics so far. This is such a, like, I wrote this book, 360, 300. I think this edition is 360 pages, but the other edition was 390 pages. Anyway, so this entire book, I think this AI could come up with this in less than, in a few hours. I think even less. So if I decided to write the book today instead of back in 2022, I would not have written the book after seeing what AI is capable of doing. It sounds very harsh, I know, but it's the truth. I mean, you can say that there are AI detectors on the internet. Doesn't work, trust me. If you, because see, these AI detectors, they only, what they actually do is they try to see whether your writing is structured or not. And if they assume that if the writing is very structured, then that's written by AI, which is not always true. I mean, if you really give the effort, even humans are capable of writing very structured technical paragraphs, and that's what is expected of us when we write scientific articles. This is the popular science book. It's fine to have some hand wavy arguments or something written in a bit less structured, in a more informal way. But scientific articles, even the ones that are written by humans, I mean, AI was not there in 10 years ago, for instance, but there were very structured scientific articles. But these AI editors, they are not at all accurate. If you give them structured text, they will always say that this is likely generated by AI. So then let's ask a very practical question. Then what's the point for a human to put in so much effort to write something original? Let's say some original technical article. If AI is gonna flag it as AI generated, and if anyway AI can generate it in a few minutes, so you just let AI do the job. Maybe you'll say it sounds unethical, but who cares about ethic if you're not gonna? I mean, try to understand. This is about practicality. If you just let ethics stop you, then you will fall behind and everyone else will march ahead, because even more or less everyone is using AI to generate articles. And so you say, okay, it's, even if I write all this myself, give so much time and effort, even then for instance, the AI detectors will say that it's been generated by AI. So let me actually generate it by AI and just maybe tweak a few sentences to. Even there are humanizers, there are some AI software to modify a text without altering its meaning or content in such a way that it would appear to be written by humans. Again, these are not very accurate in my experience, but yeah. So AI is doing the job of making something look less AI generated when it actually is AI generated. I mean, this doesn't make sense. Maybe we should have humanizer, like layers, more layers. Then there is something which will be able to detect whether something is humanized or not, just like something has been generated using AI or not. This was a discussion I was having with a friend of mine recently, and I mean, it makes sense to have humanizer detector at this point. But I mean, how far can we go? This seems to be like an endless loop, and So here's the thing, if you are practical and if you want to survive in today's world, you have to use AI. And if you say that no, I'm ethical, I'll do everything yourself, you will fall behind, you will waste your time. And to a little extent, I think it makes sense to use AI to generate the writing, because the real job of scientists is to think about new ideas, not do the routine job. But at the same time, writing was supposed to be a creative process. I'm right now I'm not talking about scientific articles in general. Writing, it could be fiction writing. Even AI is very good at it. ChatGPT can write fiction to you, like very good quality fiction. You don't have to be a best-selling author to write fiction anymore. So then what's the point? I mean, so it seems to me that AI is proving to us that whatever you thought was meaningful and art, like creative, this is very creative and all, fiction writing, literature, or even writing in general, even songwriting, I can do it just in a second. Even though do not understand any of this, I'm just a model, large language model for I just I'm just a statistical machine. That's it. So that means if a statistical machine which is just following a set of rules to keep itself updated and learning, and I mean it's still nowhere near to true consciousness or understanding or appreciating what it's saying. But if it can still give us results which are so like just like original human written text, that means all of these art forms or whatever, writing for instance, this is actually meaningless. Even science, if you talk about science, not just arts, if you talk about science, well, AI is getting very good at, even in some areas AI is getting better than human scientists in researching as well. AI is getting good at everything. So that means this is, I think AI is kind of giving us a reality check, and kind of taking us back to the beginning, that no, all of these humans, you created these problems and you are pretending to solve them, and that is giving meaning to your life. But this is meaningless, because if I, being a statistical machine without any proper understanding of this, can do it, that means it was never meaningful or never inherently meaningful in the human way in the first place. Because if that was so, then it would not have been possible for me to do that. You understand the point I'm saying? Now, I just made the video. I don't want to give you any advice or anything in this video that no, you should all start using AI for writing, or no, you should absolutely not use AI for writing. Well, if you ask me, in my view, it should be a balance between the two. I mean, not using AI is not an option, but using AI just for everything is also a very bad idea, because then you lose the ability to think. And AI or not AI, I think that's the worst thing that can happen to you if you lose the ability to think. I mean, 90%, most people in today's world already seem to have to some extent lost their ability to think, which, I mean, like I always say, if all of us, it doesn't matter, you don't have to be a genius for this. If all of us just started thinking for ourselves instead of just consuming whatever is being shown to us by the media, by the people around us, whatever it is, by everyone, by this world, in fact, by this society, in fact, if we just try to think for ourselves a bit, each every one of us, just a small effort on all of our parts, it would work wonders. I truly believe that. So, but unfortunately, people have seem to have lost both the ability and the urge to think. We have become too lazy, partly because of AI, but not just AI. I mean, this has been going, I think, going on for the past few decades. So we cannot put the entire blame on AI, but AI definitely seems to be accelerating this let's say this problem. So yeah, and yeah, in the end, I think the guys, the ones like me who anyway believe in nihilism, who do not expect life to have an inherent meaning, we are okay with it. We knew all along that the reason we dream, I don't mean the dreams we have when we're asleep. I mean, for instance, I have a dream of becoming a physics researcher. That's a dream, that's an aspiration. But the reason we dream is that we need an excuse to stay alive. Because if I have no dreams, this life is meaningless anyway. I'm gonna die after a few years, let me kill myself right now. That's not what evolution wants, that's not what biology wants, that's not what I am programmed for. So I have to create a meaning to live for. I have chosen physics, maybe someone has chosen this, someone has, but at the end of the day, it's still very important to realize that these dreams are just an excuse. These are not like true dreams, or like they don't mean anything. No, I was meant for physics. I am doing so much. I'm putting so much effort, hard work. So when something is when I get back some return, maybe I win a competition or whatever it is. It doesn't mean that the universe rewarded me or the society rewarded. It's everything is meaningless. You are getting rewarded by what? By the Nobel Prize. That's something that has been created by humans. This entire system is created by humans because humans run on validation. So you are working hard because you seek external validation, you want external validation, and those people are validating you because they need some validation themselves too. And this is the way we have created. But this is all human made. There is no inherent meaning, no inherent validation, no inherent motivation, nothing. It's all a void. This is very important to understand, and I understand that. But that doesn't mean I have I'm not working towards becoming a physicist. No, I am working, but with this thing in the back of my mind that this is just a human construct at the end of the day. And I think it's good to have this mindset, because then you are basically prepared for what comes next. Because at the rate at which AI, and not just AI, the rate at which we are progressing right now, we seem to be at the brink of a phase transition. Things can change abruptly at any moment, and whether for the better or for the worse, well, we don't know. We can't say for sure. Could be for the worse as well. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you think about it, that's how I see dreams. The reason we dream is that it's just an excuse for us to keep working and keep living this meaningless existence. Yeah, and it is inherently meaningless, but that doesn't mean, like I say time and again, this doesn't mean I have a pessimistic outlook toward life. No. If you are a pessimist, that means you believe in good, but you think there is no good. You are saying that everything is negative in this world. I'm a pessimist. But you can perceive things as negative. That means in your mind you have a reference for what's positive and what's negative. But that means you're not a true nihilist. Nihilists are neither pessimists nor optimists. Nihilists believe there is no positive, there is no negative. But that doesn't mean if someone kills someone, we will say that that's positive or that's not negative. And if someone does something very good, we will say that's negative. No, that's not that. We know what is socially acceptable and what is socially unacceptable. We know what is widely perceived as good and bad, but we also know that that is all a human construct. Fundamentally, there is no good and bad. That's what we believe. That's what I think about nihilism anyway. Some people might have different definitions of nihilism, which I might not fully agree with, but that's the point. So it's not about pessimism or optimism. It's about realism, and the reality is that there is nothing. So you are not allowed to be a pessimist. You are not allowed to be an optimist either, because to be either an optimist or a pessimist, you need the reference of both good and bad. But you're saying neither of them exist, so you have no reference to judge whether everything that's happening around us is positive or negative. With what reference would you judge? You have no reference. All such references are subjective, and nihilism. The first and foremost thing in nihilism is that you discard everything that's subjective. You only talk about what's objective, and then you come to the conclusion that nothing is truly objective in that sense. Nothing we see around us is objective anyway. Nothing remains. It's a very good logical, uh, what should I say, thought experiment, if you will. That what is the truth? How do we define the truth? So if we say the truth is something that never changes, seems to be a very reasonable definition to me. So what never changes? This book maybe. Well, of course, if I just teared the page, not even that. After 1 billion years, when the solar system would be destroyed, there would be no Earth, no life. Do you think this book would survive? No, of course, it will change. This bottle of water, for instance, which I got in the flight, same thing. I don't know. I mean, everything changes. This camera I'm recording on, none of this is permanent. Everything is transient, right? I am also transient. I will die. I mean, this entire universe will cease to exist one day. We don't know exactly how. There are theories about the fate of the universe, whether the universe would simply be like a heat death, or but either way, the universe is not permanent. That I think that's we while we cannot prove it, but that's reasonable to assume that the universe is not permanent. So that means this entire universe is not truth simply because it is not permanent. Then what is permanent? Remove everything that's not truth, and what you have is the truth. So if you remove everything that's not truth by our reasoning, then you remove everything and you are left with nothing. That nothing is the truth. This is how I think. I like to think about this. And that's the word nihilism. Nihil means nothing basically. So that's how nihilism is, let's say, nothingism. It's the philosophy of nothing, nothingness, if you will. So yeah, and again, this doesn't, you may say that, oh, that's all very well, but this doesn't really help us in our life. I mean, if you just maybe you believe in nihilism, that's okay. Maybe I don't believe in nihilism, that's also okay. But how does it help us? Whether nihilism is true or not, we cannot really pretend that nothing. uh, I agree it has no practical importance, but I still believe that it helps stimulate your mind, your thinking. I believe, and that's why I think nihilism is a very good mental tool, a mental tool to analyze the world. And also in my view, it can also be a coping mechanism for your mind. Of course, it has no practical applications. I totally agree on that point. So yeah, for to get about your daily life, you cannot really practice nihilism, but there is no harm in believing in nihilism. So I believe in nihilism, and I also believe that whatever I'm doing is just I'm doing just to get through life without but there is no inherent meaning. I do believe it, but of course I cannot practice nihilism. If practicing nihilism meaning abandoning the life, or in a way it would be meaning killing myself. That's not what I'm doing. That's not what I want to do as well. So yeah, anyway, I think that's all for this video. But this is very important to something to think about. So AI, artificial intelligence, and all this seems to be taking away, seems to be proving to us that whatever we thought was meaningful and whatever we thought was exclusively personal and human, it's not really that. Because If an AI, well, like a statistical machine, can write like us, can generate stories, fiction which seems very realistic, just like us, can write songs, can do everything, can even do research, then what's the point? Then you see what I'm getting at. It's like a full circle. We have come full circle. We have come back to the beginning. So here was a species of humans millions of years ago on the earth, left in a meaningless form of existence, and they thought, no, we will live, but to live we need to create some meaning. So because we know there is no meaning inherently, but we need to pretend there is meaning. So that's why they created some activities, they created problems just so that they can remain busy in pretending to solve the problems. But on doing that, they started building new technologies and stuff, and then they have come full circle, and now they're at a point, or very close to a point, where they are like, yeah, it was not actually meaningful after all. We just came full circle, because all of what we thought was meaningful was actually meaningless. And that's a very good way to think about. So this video was kind of like a reflection. I have no advice. The point of this video is not to give any advice in particular about using AI for generating text, or no, or not. That's up to you. Like I said, I think personally, I think it should be a balance between the two. The not using AI at all doesn't seem to be a practical option, and using AI, just using only AI, I think that will not take you far at the same time. But yeah, I don't know, the way things are going, it's important to think about, and I don't know whether I should feel a little. Of course, I am feeling disturbed, but I don't know whether I should feel disturbed or also a little bit like happy, because it kind of seems to validate the nihilistic viewpoint. But anyway, I'd like to know your thoughts, and thanks for watching.